push me down. I'm in a world, I need a ladder, just drop it down. You look at me like I'm a total stranger, but can you see that I'm in real danger? Throw me a rope and please don't let me drown. Hey, such a butterfly, can you look me in the eye and tell me you don't care for me? Hey, such a butterfly, if I'm in disguise, maybe you will cry for me. I'm in a world, I need a rope, just drop it down.
Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? That song was Fell in a Well by Songwriter X and the Skeleton Band. Just want to give them a shout out. Because why not? Yeah. She is... Not just playing some stupid, lame, or kinda average and good game. All right. Hey, everybody. How are y'all doing? This is... what was that sound? I just had a sound. I don't know what it was. A thing happened. I don't know what it was. I think a new subscriber, maybe? Who knows? Everything's so bananas right now. So... Hey, everybody. Hello, Sir Zhao Zhao and Comrade Jeb and Waldo Janse von Rensburg, which I will never get right, or Laura Tatum, or Terry Weaver, or Shannon Beat. Hey, Shannon Beat. Mr. Beat's partner. And we got 255. You met Rick Mercer yesterday, the Canadian Fuhrer, Emperor Jackson. Well, that's a thing. Yeah, hi. Hi, Michael Kirshner. Hi, everybody. I have 50,000 subscribers now. That happened, like, not even half an hour ago. You can see I have a little live counter down in the corner today, cause why not? That's such a surprise. This has been a long road. But yeah, 50,000 subscribers. I know that actually unlocks some stuff. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. So yeah, 50,002 subscribers now. It looks like. So welcome to the countdown stream. This one's gonna be a little weird because as I've kind of said, this is quite a huge day. So 50,000 subscribers is like the halfway point between this and the real big. Oh wait, my counter. My counter's covering up the thing. There we go. That should be a little bit better. Let me just there. Let's put it down there. So something's down. So down in the corner there should be a thing. So 50,000 of you came to Step Back's page and went, sure, I'll watch that. Yeah. So what should I? So all right. How do I even get started? So this is usually a thing where I hang out with you guys for an hour before a new Quickstep video comes out, and a new Quickstep video is coming out at 2 o'clock. It's one that kind of came out of the fact that Trump said a thing about the American Civil War about Robert E. Lee, and I just happened to be, like, knee deep in a really big project to do with the American Civil War, which you guys will probably find out about in like June or July or something. And so, um, yeah, we it's been fun. I did like a little bit of spilling some tea on Robert E. Lee. Patrons have already seen it, but yeah, it's exciting. And then of course, 20 minutes ago, past the 50K mark, which means that I think it allows for channel membership, which I definitely have to have some thoughts about what that would mean and what it would be used for. But I imagine I could think of something good. Yeah. Oh man. 100,000 is going to be currently, as of the current moment, Social Blade, which is like a website, the website that you're seeing in the corner here. According to this website, I'm going to hit 100,000 subscribers in early August of 2020, which is pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. Yeah. And I took down some ideas for things to do for a 50,000 subscriber celebration, which is not this. I'm going to find something else. This is a little bit more just like raw right at the moment. But, yeah. Whew. All right. Maybe I'm starting to come down. Yeah. But 2019 has been very good for Step Back. This is like turning into like the year of the Step Back. The year of the Step Back success. The gang, the Orc gang, who has been with me this whole time, we're finally having our success. And there's going to be, I'm working on some videos for the next few months, and I'm pretty excited about all of them. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I should probably answer a question. So we got one question so far from 255 AD. Let's just go right into the juice, you know. A little while back you said that the real Sargon was more right-wing than Carl Benjamin. Does it really make sense to talk about pre-industrialization/capitalism people as being left or right-wing? No. I believe that was just like an off-the-cuff goof about how, like, the real Sargon, the freaking king of Nineveh or whatever, and the Akkadian dynasty, would like flay people alive, flay his enemies alive, and like brag about how many people that he had murdered on, like, you know, a pillar of stone in the center of town and things like that. So yeah, different time, very different time for history, for people. But yeah, I mean, traditional left and right wing politics don't exactly work until oh gosh, probably like the 18th century at the earliest is when like you can really start talking about like left and right wing politics in the formal sense. Whew. So, yeah. There's some people talking about the new Three Arrows video. I haven't seen it. I know it came out yesterday, and it is over an hour long, so I'm going to wait until I've got a lot more time to go and watch that, because I am very behind on YouTube videos, as I always say, but I'm even more behind than usual because for some reason I decided that today is just going to be about me. I decided that I wanted to slowly watch through the entire back catalog of Internet Comment Etiquette, so that's been like my last like week. I thought it was going to take longer than, or I thought it was going to be faster than it was, but I'm enjoying the ride. And then I'll get back to, I think, like the 150 video long watch later playlist that I think I have stacking up. So that's fun. And especially be more fun because as we're at the beginning of the month, I imagine there's going to be a new ContraPoints video soon, and a new Sean video, and then probably this Friday there's going to be a new Philosophy Tube. So I got this week's going to be big. I just imagine. I have a plan for my video release schedule, where on top of the quick steps, when I'm making the full step back videos, like the main ones, I have a much longer production cycle for those that are planned, where I'll be like spending almost 3 months on each video, and the first one of those that's going to come out will be coming out in July, and it's pretty exciting. Hopefully it'll be a lot better, but most of the time, starting this month, you'll be getting the new Step Back video on the last day of the month, every month. And then I will unless there's like some things that change things. Like I think the one in December I'll probably have to do early because I'll be in America for a good chunk of the end of the month. Check. All right. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh my. I think I'm missing the Gen Z meme joke here, but I'll put this on the stream for people. 1 second. Hey friends. In the meantime, why don't I answer another one of your wonderful questions, friends? I should probably put this in the fan art folder. Gotta love fan art. I have a big collection of fan art and step back memes that I just like collect for my own amusement. So let me just change up that picture. Alright, where are you? There we are. Okay. So this was made by Comrade Jeb, who is always very quick on the step back memes. Let's go. So, I said something about coming for the silver play button, and delivered. All right. Okay, let's get back to the party. Suppose the U.S. and North Korea went to war with each other. How do you think the U.S. public would react if the draft was brought back for such a war? Well, if it was anything like when Vietnam happened, the thing about I think that if the draft was brought back, if conscription was actually brought back, I think that you would see a similar sort of protest movement that you saw in Vietnam, because the Vietnam college student movement to against the Vietnam War really dried up the second that the draft disappeared, and I think that would come back. Yeah, so in my mind, you would if there was, well, first of all, if the U.S. and North Korea went to war with each other, I do think that there's something. The thing about the question, though, is that I don't think that there ever would be another draft. The Vietnam War and the sort of erosion of support for the war created something that's called Vietnam Syndrome that has been heavily studied by the U.S. military since the end of that, since Vietnam. That has been like, how do we prevent the mass movement against the Vietnam War from ever happening again? One of the things they said was to get rid of the draft. So they're never going to draft people again. Now they just economically exploit poor people by shady recruitment techniques and propaganda. But then on top of that, the military is less soldier-focused these days, too. More reliance on technological things, vehicles, predator drones, spy satellites, things like that. So that would be an interesting thing to go down. But on top of that, there's other things that came out of the Vietnam War syndrome research, and one was that they thought that a lot of the support for the Vietnam War happened because journalists were sent there and they had unlimited access to things, and they went there independently of the military, and so they were able to film things like, dead American soldiers and horrible massacres and the destruction that they've wrought on the people there. And people were seeing that on the nightly news. And that was, that's basically that was Vietnam. And that's why Vietnam was so hated. When it came to future wars, they covered that by banning the filming of dead soldiers. So you can't, like, news journalists, American journalists in America or in foreign countries when the U.S. is invading them, can't film dead American soldiers. I don't think they can film, maybe they can't even film dead people, period, which is weird for a war, but especially not dead American soldiers. So Americans can't really see the visceral price of what they're paying over there. But on top of that, a lot of American journalists are, or now pretty much all but a few American journalists are what are called embedded in the U.S. military, which means that they now let journalists basically join military attaches and travel around with them to cover the war, which not only lets the military dictate what it is that they see, but on top of that, it makes the journalists identify more with the soldiers than with the the victims, and so they get a very pro-American sanitized view of things. And this all happened in the Iraq War, and that's why the Iraq War was able to go on. I think that's why both Iraq and Afghanistan were able to go on for ever. The only time where you see like the stuff that's actually happening in the only time you see that what's actually happening going on in those countries is when like Vice goes there and like doesn't do that, and some other very brave journalists who a lot of them end up dying, who go to these countries and try to film outside of the protection of the U.S. military, which is just brutal, very brutal. And yeah, it has changed how people saw the war. And that's why they can do because of those two things, they can do the forever war, and most Americans don't care because it doesn't affect them and they don't see their people dying on TV. Isn't that depressing? Because yeah, I think that if like MSNBC was showing footage of American soldiers who have been like blasted into pieces and like literally having their blood and gore on the nightly news like it was in the Vietnam War, that would definitely change people's tunes about America going to war all the time. Yeah. So, what's next? Why can't I change my PFP so nobody has the same PFP as mine? I don't know what that means. What would an ecological environment be like under an anarchist society? That's a good question. I imagine much stronger and more robust, because we wouldn't be as economically... We wouldn't be so incentivized to constantly grow the economy at the expense of our natural resources. And so we could... we would value sustainability a lot more than, say, like, just exploitation, straight exploitation as much as possible so that you can get the most amount of return on the next fiscal quarter. Which, that's good. Not to mention the profitable but not necessarily good sources of energy, like, solar power and wind power, would be a lot more incentivized. You answered my personal question instead of my real question. What did I miss? Either way, I think you're talking to someone else. All right. What happened to the Rust Belt? Easy. The Rust Belt are the parts of America that had factories when America was more of an industrial economy, and now it's more of a service economy, and the factories found cheaper labor in places where they treat workers worse, and so they went there. And now or places where it's cheaper to have workers in general, like a lot of the cars are made in Canada and Mexico because Mexico and Canada have universal health care and the U.S. doesn't. And paying for health care for your entire employee base is really expensive. And so, they moved that. They got rid of all that. A lot of them moved. And they never really... And because, free markets, because of the free marketplace, nobody rebuilt there. There was nothing valuable there. And so these people have kind of just languished. And then they wonder why they're so mad at people. I don't even know what question I'm getting from this random internet user. Oh, okay. I do see it now. Jeez. Random internet user, you're a grump. I think... Plus, I'm not, like, lazy. I am trying to talk and also read a chat at the same time and keep everything balanced. This is hard. And it's not going to be like Tuesday nights in the future where I have my wife to help gather the questions for me. So, you know. All right. Did you watch 3 Hours Crusades video, considering you said you plan to do a video on the Crusades? I still plan on doing a video about the Crusades. Let me just find... I actually have it... Because I'm now making my videos like 3 months... or start working on my videos 3 months before they come out. I have the Crusades video currently planned to be the video I make at the end of December. And I have to see what 3 Arrows says. But I think 3 Arrows... You know, 3 Arrows is talking about it in the form of a video response to Steven Crowder, when I would probably make mine more as an educational video about what the Crusades were. And so I think that they would be suitably different videos, but I think that I'm very interested to see what's in it. I just need to find like an hour and 3 minutes to sit down and listen to the 3 Arrows video. And and someone's talking about what's it called? Somebody said someone making some Marvel movie references. I won't spoil nothing, but I did finally see Avengers Endgame last night, so I can definitely say that. I saw that movie, and it was fun. Tristan, will you ever make an hour-long educational documentary about Christianity and the birth of Christ? Oh boy. I don't know. It's a long video. Or it's a long career I hope to have ahead of me. That might be fun. I definitely, like, the thing is, like, I do have the series where I talk about world religions. And, at the moment, my long-term goal is to, my next 3 episodes in that series, when I get around to them, are to cover the religions of the Indian subcontinent. So you guys probably saw the Buddhism video a little bit earlier. I'm going to make part 2 of that in August. And then I plan, probably in 2020 now, to make the Hinduism video and to also make a video on Jainism. And so those are like the next religions I'm going to take. And then after that, I might consider going into the Abrahamic religions. And I feel like if I'm going to do a video explainer on what Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are, I'm going to need them to be very long and very detailed. So I could definitely put those off until I have more resources. I feel like things like that might require me being a full-time YouTuber before I can do that. So patreon.com/stepbackhistory. But yeah. Because, you know, covering Hinduism, a 5,000-year-old religion, that'll be easy. Did you do a video on Sikhism already? Yes. It's actually one of my, like, earliest videos and one of the most viewed videos on my channel. So, you could totally... You should just go... let me find a link for you. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. My Sikhism video. Sikhism. Here we go. What is a Sikh religion? And let me just copy that for you. Come on. All right, here. This is the Sikh. This is my video on Sikhism. All right. Oh boy. Okay, we got some more questions. Will you make videos on countries and world leaders around the world and talk about the countries and cultures surrounding? Like, listen, I'm only one human. I can only make so many videos. But I do plan on making a video about North Korea probably in January, so hang on to that one. All right, let's move on. So yeah, to answer the question about the Crusades video, yes, I'm going to probably I'm going to watch it at some point soon because I like Three Arrows. Somebody I think also asked if I'm ever going to do a collaboration with Patrick from Name Explains, and I already have kind of. He did a video on hobbits and halflings, or hobbits in general, and I did a video on paladins, and we linked to each other's videos. It was a while back, but that's already happened. I don't know if we'll do one again, maybe, but we'd have to find another. I'd have to find another like thing that just screams like you should work with Name Explain on this one. Okay. Are you aware of the hypothesis that the Islamic religion really didn't start anywhere in or near Mecca? If yes, what do you think of it? I have not heard of that. Should Trump improve the Philippines economy so most Filipinos would be less stupid? I can't speak to how the Filipino economy works. I have no knowledge of that kind of Philippines stuff. But I definitely would like to do whatever we could to make sure that to get rid of freaking current president of the Philippines. He's kind of a dingus. Congrats 50K. Thank you, William C. Fox from The Exploration. I much appreciate that. Finally made it. Finally made it. The what's it called? Out of like all of the cohort that were like in my same like wheelhouse at one point, I'm like the last one to get past 50K, and like I'm finally there. I did it. Took me a lot longer than everyone else, but I did it. So, yeah. What about the First Amendment? You're talking about the embedded soldiers thing? The First Amendment still applies. In America, there is exceptions for wartime censorship, and they invoke that, I believe. Terry said in bed with military, like embed, like EMBED. Do a short video on the video of Karen and... Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. So many fun questions. Why do the right love to say love socialism, go to Venezuela? Well, because that's like a thing that's in the news that they can then say, hey, this is what, like, this is... It's a thing that's in the news that says it's socialist, and they can and they think it's bad, and so they can just point to it. It's a lazy way to avoid having an argument. And I don't know if you know, but the right are fairly loose. Like the right don't exactly have that many arguments to back up their own claims, and so they use just like random dumb arguments like that that don't have any weight to them at all to make their case. Do you think Bernie will finally pull the U.S. out of Afghanistan? I hope so. He's a little like Bernie's not as good as I would like on foreign policy stuff, so I'm not sure, but I would hope so. I know that that'd be my hope. Should Trump improve the Philippines economy? We got that one already. Oh, one thing I should mention while I'm on this, before I forget this little thing that I was thinking of. For 100,000 subscribers, so just so you know, for 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to get a step back tattoo. And I'm going to live stream me getting it. And hopefully maybe even be able to answer questions and talk to you guys while I'm getting the step back logo like it burned into my shoulder. So that'll be fun. The police protect fascists. What could you say to a centrist, cough, cough, cosmic skeptic, cough, cough, who responds to that with the police protect everyone? Well, they don't. When you say the police protect everyone, it's like, that's like nominally, like that's the job description. But when you look at face tattoo or butt tattoo, both, all right? And I just realized now that Will Fox is in the chat, I do have mentioned I haven't made a video where I put an Easter egg about wanting to kill Will Fox in like years. I should probably do that again. Gotta be a tramp stamp. Oh man, that would be a fun place to put a step back logo. But I'm saving that for my no regrets tattoo. So yeah, when you're dealing with like what I would say to someone like Cosmic Skeptic, apparently, if they say the police protect everyone, well, you have to when looking at the way that these policies work, kind of like in the way that Marx did his analysis of capitalism, is that instead of analyzing how it works in theory, like how Adam Smith with the Wealth of the Nations would have done it, how things are supposed to work, and instead you have to look at the way things actually work in reality. And when you look at things in reality, you find things like how the police spend way too much energy cracking down on like minor crimes done by people of color, and that they give a wide berth to white supremacists. On top of that, you see things like how the amount of police response to left-wing protests compared to right-wing protests is ridiculous. The fact that like the police will mass arrest and pepper spray and tear gas left-wing protesters, and then right-wing protesters who show up with like AR-15 strapped to their back get like nothing. They get like no police hassling whatsoever. And then on top of that, you do find, this has been through a lot of world history, because the police are actually not that old of an institution, but through world history, especially American history, is you always find that police officers have a high percentage above the baseline membership in far-right groups. One example that came up recently was that in Greece, there was the neo-Nazi party, the Golden Dawn, has a lot of its membership in the Greek police, and the Greek police like tacitly support the Golden Dawn party. You found in places like the American South, in the American South like high percentage of membership of local law enforcement in the Ku Klux Klan. And even today, I would imagine if you did a study of police officers and their involvement in far-right groups, that you would find a overrepresentation of white supremacists and white nationalists in the police field. And so not only that, but you see like through like reams and reams of data that the police they give a wide berth towards far-right terrorism, but they way over police left-wing protesters and things like that. You can just like the evidence doesn't add up. Would mentioning evictions of tenants by cops help change their mind? Maybe. All right, when did people first realize the Southern Hemisphere and the opposite seasons of the Northern? Most people probably freaked out because their calendars were not matching. That's actually a pretty good question. I have no idea. I would be really, really interested in finding that out. Like really interested in figuring that one out, because that's interesting. I imagine it was like stories from like Captain Cook and stuff. That'd be kind of neat. What news media do you consume? It's funny. I tend to see, the thing is like there's a big difference between news and analysis. I follow a lot of fairly conventional news sources just for like, hey, what the hell's like what's going on? But I usually don't trust any of their analysis. But like just to find out that thing happened and get like the details, like I'm not ashamed of just like checking up on like CNN to see like if I hear like a thing's going on, I'm like, oh, what is the thing that's going on? I won't trust where like anything past the first line of the article where they just say the thing that happened. But I typically will do that. As for like analysis, oh boy, like okay, so when it comes to like just straight up reporting, I check CNN for American stuff every once in a while if I'm just like, hey, what's going on these days? What is like the mainstream of America paying attention to? But I don't really trust anything that they're like any of their states or any of their like their their interests. I'll do the same thing with CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That's a pretty good one. As far as like news, but also with analysis, I really like going to Democracy Now! That's probably my second place. I usually go to CNN because it's just like the default news for a lot of Americans. And so in my mind, I'm usually going just to find out what Americans are paying attention to. And if a thing is currently unfolding, like for example, like the Notre Dame fire, I was following that on CNN because it was like, oh, like it's a thing that's happening right now. And a lot of the good places that have good analysis don't exactly have the journalistic resources to cover things as they're unfolding. I also like, I like Democracy Now! I think that's like a solid analysis site. Honestly, I just kind of like, I don't typically get, The Intercept I have, Jacobin is good. I do like Jacobin. Cody Johnson's also a pretty good one. The Intercept I'm a little skeptical of The Intercept. I'm really skeptical of like, the sort of, there's this branch of left-wing media people that I just kind of avoid because I don't really trust their analysis very much. And The Intercept is definitely on that side of it. Russia Today is on that. To a lesser extent, like Abby Martin and Robbie Martin are on that. And like, I think you can probably guess, like from the names I'm saying, the kind of sphere of left-wing media that I do kind of am skeptical of, and I try to keep my distance from a little bit. But not so much the tankies, but like the what's it called? The conspiracy theorists. That's the only way I could say it. I don't know what else to say to that, but my media diet is pretty varied, and I get it from a lot of random different sources. The main trick is to not use one source for any story. And typically, people who are getting paid lots and lots of money do not have very good analyses of things. So that's people with a lot of resources, news organizations with a lot of resources that have the money to put a journalist in like bureaus all around the world. Those are good for finding out what's happening, finding out the what of the news, of a news event. But then when it comes to the why or the how, there's a whole bunch of sources that take a little bit more time. And so that's what I would say. Why does Canada produce so many political YouTubers on both extremes? That's a good question. I think, So, we are a country of 37 million people that live in a very similar cultural milieu to the Americans, but we're not Americans. And so our takes are sort of outside looking in, which is a perspective I think a lot of people like. But it's an outside looking in perspective, but one that is still culturally familiar. You know, we sound like Americans, we talk like Americans, we have a lot of the same cultural touchstones. And then on top of that, I think Canada's got a higher percentage of university graduates than Americans. And so we punch above our weight when it comes to, like, you know, know-it-alls like us, like know-it-alls like me. So, you know. Do you know anything? So this comes from Will Fox. Do you know anything about Louis Riel? Lived in Manitoba. He was a leader of what are called the Métis, which is basically the French equivalent of the term that you probably have heard in America, mestizo, which is like a reference to a lot of people who are of mixed indigenous and Spanish ancestry. Métis is the same thing, but for French. But there is in the prairies, in the prairie provinces of Canada, a distinct Métis identity, a Métis culture that is this hybrid of French and Indigenous cultures. Louis Riel lived in Manitoba, and in the late 19th century, he led a rebellion of the Métis people against the authority of the Canadians, and he was captured and hung for it. And to this day, people still like Louis Riel Day is a official holiday in Manitoba, and Louis Riel is a like there's Louis Riel Day, and there's a like the Riel Rebellion, the Red River Rebellion is like one of the most is one of the very common touchstones, one of the common things that are taught in Canadian history classes, and so that's like a thing that I do, or that that happens. And I've had some questions about Louis Riel, so I do plan on making a video about Louis Riel. I don't know when. I know Louis Riel Day is in February, but also Black History Month is in February, and so sometime when I am very interested in making a... That was a Facebook message from Will saying thanks for answering the question. Someday I will probably do a Louis Riel video. I think people seem to like when I do Canadian history, and so I'm probably gonna, get back to it at some point. Can you be in favor of market/syndicates while simultaneously following the principle of from each according to his ability, to each according to their need? Not really. Markets have a habit of concentrating wealth in the hands of a few people, and so I don't see market-based economies having that sort of success. Okay. Is it true, despite being more humane, Scandinavian prisons aren't actually that much more effective than ours? Made a video claim that. Yeah, well, in my mind, I think that all prisons are ineffective and that we should abolish prisons, period. I feel like we need to find other options to how to handle these things. And so that would be my answer to that. Is that, yeah, I do think that Scandinavian prisons, while they are more humane than, say, like a American-style prison, they're still inhumane, and we should get rid of them and find other solutions that actually solve the root problems of crime and actually fix antisocial behavior. That's all I gotta say to that. Okay. What's the topic? Okay. Do you like David Harvey? Yes. I have. I read his sort of companion book to Marx's Capital as part of my comprehensive exams when I was in my PhD, and I liked it. He has a series. He has a series on... I also read A Brief History of Neoliberalism, which I think is the best book I've ever read on neoliberalism. And David Harvey's companion to Capital, I think that's the name of it. He actually taught a course. He teaches a course on Capital, and he actually has a YouTube channel that... he has a YouTube... There's a YouTube playlist of him going through Capital and describing it in plain terms, which I really like. Daniel S., thank you for saying my channel is awesome. I appreciate that. Okay. What do you think about Norway and Sweden? Oh, it's not for me. Who are YouTubers that you like? Oh boy, I feel like if I say any, then I'm gonna leave people out. That's all. When you say that's all I have to say on that, I think of Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump's a nice guy. I'll appreciate that. I don't like. I just don't. I know that I get to a point where I'm like, oh, like, have reached the limits of the things that I know and the things that I can say about it, and so I don't really like going into territory that I don't know about. I'm not Sargon of Akkad. I don't talk about things that I don't know about, that I haven't researched. Because that would be dishonest, and I try my very best to not be dishonest. Who are some YouTubers I like, though? At the moment, I'm really liking Internet Comment Etiquette. Thought Slime is another one of my really favorite YouTubers. Not just because he's a buddy of mine, but because I'm like really, really liking. I really, really like the stuff. I really like the content. Some other YouTube channels I really like. I'm gonna leave out people's. These are just channels that I have been excited about lately. I really like Three Arrows. I really like Sean. I really like Ollie. I really like Scott Niswander of NerdSync. I really like the new Cold War channel that I'm writing for. Those are all the ones that stick out right now. I really like Innuendo Studios. I'm just naming off all the channels where when a new video comes out, I'll instantly watch it. Do you follow the Great War channel? I thought the Great War channel was over because it was following World War I as it turned 100. I liked it. I liked the Great War channel a little bit. The Great Wars channel's Facebook page featured my video on the Spanish Civil War. Or not Spanish Civil War, sorry. The Spanish flu. And that was one of the things that got my channel to its first 100 subscribers, which I really liked. Someone asked me for my favorite non-political YouTube channels. Let me just go through my list and see a few. Cogito. Yeah, that's a good one. Long, Long Time Ago, which is a history YouTube channel. Alliterative. That's a political. Articulations. Ask Mortician. Aspec, which is a channel about the game Stellaris. Lots of political YouTube channels. Casually Explained is kind of amusing sometimes. CGB Grey's amusing. I have a lot. I watch a lot of D&D channels, and I watch a lot. But I'm really digging Internet Comment Etiquette right now, which is pretty funny, and I think probably one of the better things that I'm into right now. Which Thought Slime got me into, which I think is amusing. Okay. When I asked my... Oh my. There's a vehicle outside making one of those backing up. Hopefully that's not annoying you guys. It's very loud for me, but maybe it's not for you. I'll just close the window. It's so hot out. Either way, the show must go on. What's your favorite tabletop RPG system? At the moment, the only one I've really spent a lot of time playing is D&D, but one of the ones but that's a simple one, and I used to play a lot. I used to like this cyberpunk game called The Sprawl, and I really like the Powered by Apocalypse system. I don't get to play it enough, and I really wish that I could play in a Powered by Apocalypse campaign right now, but you know, you get what you get. I also really like... I don't know how I feel about the Fate system. Kind of about it. What's another... But the one that I'm really excited about is one called Quest, which is... I only have a pre-order version of it right now, but it's like a D&D, but with all the things that I would change added in, and I'm really liking it. I have to play it, but I like what I'm reading. Okay. When I asked my dad if he'd ever seen other cops hit people, he said something like, "Only the right bad ones that deserved it." Oh, okay, that's disturbing. Saw a guy in the non-compete Discord advertising starting a Comrades campaign powered by the apocalypse. That could be fun. I don't know if I like playing tabletop role-playing games online, though. Rudolph Rocker. I have no idea who Rudolph Rocker is. One thing I want to do in like the tabletop role-playing game thing is I want to do a Chrisiosity on Twitter proposed doing a video or doing a charity stream where we get a bunch of bread tubers to play role-playing games, because a lot of them know how it works. There's like a lot of tabletop role players who are bread tubers. And so if we got a bunch of them together to play a bunch of one-shots to raise money for a charity, I think that'd be pretty cool. Which U.S. state do you live? Well, a random internet user, I live in Canada. I live in the city of Toronto, to be specific. But my wife is from Indiana, and so I spend like 1 week of the year in Indiana, so that's like the closest thing I can say. Don't you think LeftTube is a better name than BreadTube? No, I love BreadTube. It's fun. BreadTube is a fun name. I don't know what's wrong with BreadTube, except that like I guess it implies anarchism, but that's okay. All Marxists are just anarchists who are working their way, are just not there yet. Not at 50k anymore. I know I went down. Now I'm at 4999. Well, it trends upwards. All right. Recently, Rationality Rules made a video about how trans women will ruin sports. Why do atheist YouTubers keep getting pulled to the right? Because they are typically, you're a new subscriber, Sam. I am 420. Nice, very nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here. If there's anybody else where it's their first time streaming, please let yourself be known. I would love to say hi to anybody who it's their first stream or if they're a new subscriber. And fixed. Oh boy. Sverdfisken. Hello, Sverdfisken. Yeah. Double 50k stream. Well, this happens. When you're a YouTuber, when you have a YouTube channel of a certain size, you're always going up and down all the time, but it trends up. So, why are there no Black History YouTubers? Is history YouTube self-segregating? I can't say for sure. There are some Black YouTubers. There's a couple of channels. One that I know off the top of my head is From Nothing, which is an African history channel run by a Black YouTuber. There are Black History YouTubers. I know there's at least two. But, see there, back down to 49999, like it just happens. It's just that I don't know if you've been on YouTube, but if you are it also segregates out women and queer people and all sorts of people of oppressed backgrounds, and that's because if you make a video on YouTube and you are part of an identifiably oppressed group, they're gonna drag you through hell. Being like a woman on the internet is like one of the worst things ever, and it's true of all sorts of of people from different backgrounds. So that's the thing. Who treated indigenous people worse, the Roman Empire or the British Empire? Definitely British Empire. Thoughts on Slovakia? Good beer. Is Thomas Sankara's regime a good example of practical leftism for the third world? Well, Girthax, I have not done my homework on. I'm trying to remember what country he ran, but I do not feel qualified to answer that question. Maybe if I do a video on him sometime. How would you feel about using technology to monitor violent offenders rather than actually locking them up? In Ian Back's sci-fi book, that's what they do instead of prison. Yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of interesting. I'm sure there's all sorts of interesting solutions that would be perfect for handling antisocial behavior. and I am not. I'm sure that there are different good ones for every single. I'm sure there are different answers for every single thing. So, you know. Thoughts on Tajikistan? I have never been to Tajikistan. I know that it is a Central Asian former Soviet, one of the Stans republics. I have a friend who's been to Kyrgyzstan, where, you know, he did some research for Sovietology, but and I know that he drank fermented mare's milk there, that's a thing, but I don't really know all that much about Tajikistan. We're running out of time, so I'm trying to move a little faster. Dan, do you think the Nazi guy that helped people in the Nanjing rape was a good guy? I can't even begin to answer that question. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm not a World War II guy. In a recent podcast interview, Non-Compete said he's worried that YouTube and Patreon will start throwing communists off if they get too popular. Are you worried about that? No. I do think that I'm fairly, like, I have done a lot of networking, and I have worked fairly hard to keep myself pretty like well connected with people in YouTube, and I have my content is just good enough, or just what's it called? Just friendly enough that people still consider me for like sponsorships and things like that. Like, I think that the thing that he would be more worried about is like a more of like a revolutionary left YouTube. I feel like a revolutionary left YouTuber would definitely could definitely get on people's bad sides. Like, for example, somebody who like called openly for like, you know, revolution and murdering people and all that kind of thing. I feel like those are the kinds of communists that have a higher chance of getting their stuff taken down, which, you know, gotta be careful when you're on a platform, man. Yeah, like Jason Derulo. Although Jason Derulo sucks, so I don't know. I don't particularly care. Thoughts on Mali? Mali is a cool country, I guess. I know a little bit about. I know that Non-Compete doesn't do that, so I don't know. I'd have to talk to him about the fear, but that's the only, in the logic that they would go with. That's the thing I would think that they would go for. Man, look at this. Like, this is like the most like will they won't they thing. Either way. But I did a video on Mansa Musa. Let me if I can find him. Let me find if I find that video. Here. Would you like... I did a video on Mansa Musa, the king of Mali from the 14th or 15th century, who was so rich that when he went on Hajj, he like destabilized economies by spending so much money. So that's a cool thing about Mali. And of course, it makes everything wonderful. Oh boy, it's like what's it called? This one person is just like, question. What do you think about this random country? Okay, do you have a PhD in history? No, I do not. I dropped out of my PhD in history last year because it wasn't going the way I wanted it to, and that was not the life of an academic professor, or more likely a forever contract faculty who's struggling to make ends meet. Was not, well, the struggling to make ends meet part was still you know, that's still on my plate. You know, that's still going to happen. But I wasn't really interested in the path to becoming a tenured professor, and so I decided to do something else. What do you think about market socialism? I think it's like, I mean, there are worse ideas out there, but I do think that there are also better ideas out there. And I think that we need to let go of the idea that the market is the most efficient way of running economies, because it is very obviously not. The corporations that act the most like a planned economy are the most successful ones, which makes me think that that's a fairly damning condemnation of market economies. Thoughts on Dominica? I went there for my honeymoon, and I drank a lot of rum. I drank a lot of oh gosh, what's that stuff called? They have this in Dominica. They have this this liquor that you can drink, where they put honey and red wine in this bottle with like tobacco and cinnamon and a bunch of other like Caribbean spices. And they used to sell it as like a sort of cough syrup, but now it's like now it's like a like very like well-known local drink, and it's really good. It's really good. And I drank a lot of that. I went. What else did I do? I went to Santo Domingo, and I saw a lot of cool history stuff. There's a cool cathedral there. There's some stuff that was done by Christopher Columbus's children. There's actually Christopher Columbus's tomb there, but we didn't go inside. I went to a cigar factory, and I smoked a cigar that had been hand rolled like 10 seconds ago. That was fun. I went to a coffee plantation, and I drank coffee that was like on the plantation it had been grown on, and same thing with chocolate. So and I saw a really adorable kitten when I was there. So I thought the Dominican was great, and I would love to go back because everything about that was fun. Thoughts on leftist YouTuber streamer Vouch? Don't know anything about them. As a married man, is the thing where people of the opposite sex find you more attractive because you're married true? Trust me, Dan, as a not conventionally attractive man, being married or not married has not affected how attractive I am to random people at all, which is, it went from 0 to 0. Lost ideas, thoughts on Biden 2020. I have a video that I released last week about it. You can check that out there. Where are the kitties? Probably in my bedroom. We got new sheets for the bed, and it is really, really comfy, and I imagine they are taking, I imagine that they're taking up really well. They like it, and I like it too. Thoughts on Ireland? Seems alright. Never been there. And if Bernie would run against AOC and you were American and a card-carrying Democrat, who would you vote for? I would vote for AOC. Bernie's not the best option, just the only one. Okay. So, it is 2 o'clock, actually 2:01. So let me just get the next video that is now live for your consumption. And I will give you guys, I'll let you guys go and enjoy that new step back video. And then I will close down the stream. So, chat. In the chat, is it worth to visit Canada? Sure. Do your cats ever get to go outside? No. No, they don't. They are indoor cats. All right, friends. And we don't have a balcony. So, all right, friends, the new video's in the chat. Please check out the new video. Like, share, subscribe. Look, I'm back at 50K. Yeah. It's touch and go there for a bit. Anyways, you guys have a great one. I'll see y'all next time. Tomorrow night, actually. Bye.